It's all about flipping PCs for profit. And this bad boy here is the latest arrival. The beautiful thing about this PC is that I got it using a tactics I didn't use for a very, very long time. You see, when I started selling used computers a long time ago, the one tactics for me to get PCs to flip at the time was for me to actually go ahead and check up the marketplaces. At the time, it was a Facebook marketplace. And if you live in Germany, it used to be eBay Kleinanzeigen. It was a beautiful website. Is being sold now, but then at the time we used to get a lot of listings for used PCs, and there was another website at that time was called Coca.de. I don't know if this website is still in existence, but these were the three main websites I was actually using to hunt down good quality PCs with the intention of actually flipping them on ebay.de. So this was the tactics. I will look at listings on these platforms, and whenever I identify a very good listing, and a good listing will be that it has a very good price, it has the pieces in a very, very good condition, which is there are no major damages, a few signs of use here and there. These are used pieces, so it's always expected that they would have signs of use, here and there. So when I would look at these offers and I see that the distance of the seller is not so far from me, I was pretty much fine with going like 20, 30 kilometers, up to 50 kilometers. If the offer was good, I will go ahead, buy these PCs, bring them back home, clean them, make good photos, and then go ahead and list them on eBay. And these tactics worked well for a very, very long time. In fact, to be honest, I missed the times where I needed to really go out, source for these items one after the other, pretty much hand pick the items that are coming to my shop. It was a beautiful time because it gave me the opportunity to actually, discover so many places at the time in Munich, around Munich. I was constantly on the move, looking for items to buy, looking for laptops, looking for monitors, looking for everything that was just in the line of IT hardware that I could actually go ahead and flip, to make profit. This was the tactics. And like I said, it worked well for a very, very long time until things began to actually, take off. And by take off, I mean the moment sales began to increase. I saw that people were demanding these items. I needed to constantly be on the move, picking up items in Munich, around Munich, always driving around. Sometimes I do like 100 kilometers a day because I go to Munich, I pick up an item and I come home, and then I realize that a new listing is up. It's a PC that I know pretty much sells very well. Then I have to go back again because the name of the game is you have to actually be very, very fast. If a good item is listed today and you are not fast enough, somebody else is going to go ahead and pick it up because you are not the only one looking at these offers. Understand that this game is played by a lot of people, and if you want to full drag, you're not going to be able to get very good deals. So these are the tactics. But when sales started increasing, there was the need for me to actually, save time. It was becoming increasingly difficult for me, to actually go ahead and pick up these items. Traffic situation in Munich was kind of very bad at the time. Things were really kind of bad, and I needed a way to actually, get these items, more frequently. And then I started looking out for who was qualified to be a supplier. See, there are so many suppliers of used pieces, but then you have to be able to vet these suppliers, build a very good relationship with them so that these suppliers would not just mess you up. You see, if you buy two wrong items from the wrong supplier, it could just wipe out your profit. Understand that these pieces are expensive items, and one wrong transaction has a way of affecting you. You could lose 100 euros, you could lose 200 euros. If you are lucky, you could even go ahead to lose, thousands of euros or thousands of dollars, depending on where you actually live. So fast forward to today, I pretty much hooked myself with responsible suppliers. And with this, I was able to actually scale this business. It became less stressful. I didn't have to constantly be on the road, looking for items to pick up, because sometimes picking up items from people's homes could be very, very tricky. These people, don't forget, they are working class people. Could be very difficult to get an appointment for, to pick up things. Back then, sometimes I want to pick up things at about 1 o'clock. The seller writes me and say, look, I'm not at home. I'm home only as from 8 o'clock in the evening. Then I have to sometimes, say, okay, no problem. 8 o'clock, I still can come around. Mind you, I still have to go home. But then sometimes when I'm on my way, the person writes and says, sorry, I'm in the traffic. I will be home like 20 minutes later. 40 minutes later, and the stories were just unending. So when I got myself some responsible suppliers, things have pretty much been very, very smooth. I do not have to be stressed anymore. Pretty much understands the items that tend to sell well on the various marketplaces. And whenever my suppliers have these items, all I have to do is just to go ahead, buy them, bring them home, clean them up, make good photographs, and then go ahead to list them and ultimately flip them for profit. But today, I felt like I was just missing this traditional method of sourcing for items. So I did look up Facebook Marketplace today, and I saw this decent PC here. Was looking in very good condition, even though the seller didn't present this PC properly because just made 1 or 2 pictures, and the pictures didn't really show the exact beauty of this PC. So I did go ahead to her and said, please, could you give me more pictures of this PC, which the seller did, sent me on WhatsApp, and everything was decent. And from the price point, everything was beautiful. I said to myself, I am going to go after this PC just to remind myself of the times where I used to pick up items from people's homes. So I did go there today, respectful young man, everything went fine, paid for the PC. The PC was looking in an excellent condition, like you can see, decent. No major signs of use. Unfortunately, this PC didn't come with the RAM stick and the hard drives, but this shouldn't be a problem because I pretty much have a lot of them here. I have RAM sticks, I have NVMe SSDs. This should absolutely not be a problem, but the PC itself is a solid PC, and I'm very confident that this PC is going to be flipped for profit. But then when I came home, I was kind of exhausted. First of all, the traffic situation in Munich has not changed. It's still, in fact, even worse than what it used to be back then. And there used to be something I wasn't factoring into my transactions, which was the time I actually did spend on the road to pick up items. You see, just going to Munich and coming back pretty much cost me over 1 hour, 15 minutes, going to the address, then coming back home, factoring the traffic situation, the time I spent in the supermarket and everything, pretty much just rounded up to 1 hour, 15 minutes. And that's a lot of time. And if you consider the fact that your time is actually, a lot of money, then it will not be economical to keep running the car, keep spending a lot of time on the way to just pick up stuff. But then I did realize that, yes, things have really changed. The interesting thing is that when I was doing this business, using these tactics, I didn't know I was spending a lot of time, on the road back then. I was just excited because I was able to actually get items. I was able to bring them home. The whole excitement of picking up stuff, bringing them home. I didn't really think of the fact that I was spending a lot of, time on the road. But fast forward to today, because things are pretty much changed, I have discovered a better way to doing this thing that will not cost me all my time, that will not cost me a lot of, money to be on the road, that will not cost me, wear and tear on my car. I'm just so blown away. Also very appreciative of the fact that I was able to actually develop these tactics, which is, buying directly from suppliers and actually flipping them for profit. Is a more stable way to doing this business. But truth be said, I did get this PC for a very, very good price, a price I would not normally get, for my supplier. So if you have the time and you pretty much live in a big city where you can actually lay your hands on a lot of, decent hardwares like this, these old tactics I used, which was going to people's homes, to buy these things one after the other, is still a very, very decent tactics that you can actually use to buy good hardware to flip for profit. Because one thing I noticed is that you tend to get better prices when you buy from private individuals, because most of these people, they do not understand or they do not know the value of the items they have. And some of them do know the value of the item, but they just want the item gone away, because sometimes these items are locked up in the storehouse for like 2-3 months and the seller just wants the item gone. So they are not really like picky and saying that, no, this item must be sold for this amount. So you might be very lucky to score a very good deal. This PC is actually an Intel 8 Gen Core i7 processor, and this is very beautiful. If I were to get this from my supplier, this will cost me more. But then the little inconvenience I had to go through, which is the traffic, the time I spent, driving back and front. For me, I do not really count it as losses, but if I have to sell like 200 pieces of this PC and I have to drive 200 times, to different homes, then it may not be very sustainable to continue to use these tactics. But then if you are starting out and you are thinking if going to people's home might be a good way to do this business, I want to tell you that there's going to be a lot of experience that you're going to pick up while you buy these items one after the other. You're going to learn a lot of stuff. You're going to minimize a lot of losses that could have come if you want to buy from a supplier, because sometimes the supplier wants you to take a minimum, quantity of like 5 or 6. But if you buy these items one after the other, you tend to minimize a lot of losses. Like I said, you're going to learn a lot of stuff. And this experience that you pick up in this process of going to people's homes to buy these PCs, they are going to help you along the way later on if you decide, to commit to the business. I hope this video helps you. If it does, click on the like button, subscribe to the channel. Until I see you again in the next one, peace.